Well, Kendrick Lamar did the Super Bowl. Trump was there. It was a real, both Americas meeting in the same place. Everyone was there. Paul McCartney was there. Taylor Swift was there. Paul Rudd was there. Donald Trump was there. Matt Gaetz was tweeting about it. Matt Walsh was tweeting about it. Uh, Kendrick was doing music.
Rupert
SZA
Murdoch was
sang as
watching.
well. Rupert Murdoch, the daddy who everyone loves, was there. It was really a who's who of people. So we'll talk about it a bit today. Um, I know that we don't often talk about sports here, and we're not really. We're not here to talk about the sports. We're here to talk more about the cultural significance of the halftime show, which is significant culturally and musically, but also significant for what it represents. Because on a very, I don't even want to say service level thing. Yeah, someone brought up Mustard, which is cool. Someone brought up Serena Williams crip walking. And in case you don't know,
Logan
that was
brought up Anne
Logan.
Hathaway.
Guys, I could start talking about the Anne Hathaway thing, but I would get in trouble. All I'll say is I had some people over to watch the Super Bowl, and at a certain point, me and the two other gentlemen, all with wives, were sitting on the couch rewatching the 5-second Anne Hathaway clip and discussing Anne Hathaway. So shout out to everyone who is into Anne Hathaway. Shout out to someone who's catching me for the first time live. But yeah, there was just a lot going on. And of course, if you notice the Serena Williams thing, there's multiple layers there. Serena Williams from South Central Los Angeles as well. Also, someone who's dated Drake. Also, her husband, who's Mr. Reddit. Drake made fun of Mr. Reddit in a song. So there's a lot of layers to that. There was a debate in my watch party where she popped up and they cut away. And I was like, that was Serena Williams. And someone was like, that wasn't Serena Williams. And I was like, don't you dare question me in my goddamn house. But so we're going to talk about it. And there's been some good articles there. Dr. Swifty said, what happened with Anne Hathaway? Okay, I'm just going to say this and then we're going to move on. They cut to Anne Hathaway in a box enjoying the game. And some people think, I'm speaking in generalities here, some people think that Anne Hathaway might potentially be an incredibly attractive person and that the energy she exuded in that clip might personify that attractiveness in a way that made people who are attracted to women swoon. That's what I'm hearing. And that's just me reporting. That's me as a journalist. That's me as a New York Times type, doing that. So we'll get into it. And I think, it's interesting to talk about because my initial reaction to the whole thing, not that you guys care what I think. Well, actually you do. You're here. You have to care to some extent, even if you care because you hate me or something. But, my initial reaction was, how insane is it that all of America is watching this? Definitely all of what we could call red America, MAGA America, Trump America. And they have to, on their screen, watch a black artist surrounded by black people perform rap music. I don't really want to. I'm gonna look this up, and I don't want to show it on screen because I don't want to give credit to this gentleman. But Matt Walsh gave his commentary and said, bizarre decision by the NFL to have some guy come out and lethargically mumble a bunch of songs that 90% of the NFL audience has never heard. First of all, to think that only 10% of people who watch the NFL have ever heard Kendrick Lamar is pretty ridiculous, especially when Not Like Us won a bunch of Grammys and was like one of the most streamed songs of the year. Third of all, it's funny for Matt Walsh, who kind of talks like this whenever he talks about anything, for him to call anyone lethargic in their manner of speak is pretty crazy. Let's see. Oh yeah, he also did a whole thing about how girls can't play football. He says it's the worst halftime show he's ever seen. No one can understand what he's saying. Yada yada yada. But
Michael, how many are there? This is a lot.
Matt Walsh really went in on it, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's funny to know that Matt Walsh and people like him watched this, and we're in a sense confronted by it. We're confronted by Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam, making the thing a sort of meta commentary on blackness in America, on the way in which black artists are expected to play the game. They use that language quite
Play for
explicitly.
America.
Yeah. Kendrick made some specific choices to not play the hits, which was pretty interesting. He did 2 different songs in his set list that were songs about how Drake is a bad person and a pedophile. I think many of us wondered if he would do the thing, which is the Not Like Us song. And specifically, I think many of us wondered, was he going to do the A minor part? And he did. So that was really interesting. He also did the song Euphoria. There's a lot of baked in cultural references. I know that at one point he did an a cappella verse in front of a bunch of dancers who were turf dancers from Oakland, which is a style of street dancing from there. I know very little about it, but I read a bit about it today. Someone brought up that it was annoying that he didn't do some of his greatest hits and just recent songs. But, Laurie Christensen said, Matt Walsh said, I prefer the musical stylings of the Cranberries. Here's what I know. The Cranberries, as Irish Republicans, would fucking hate Matt Walsh. I'm very confident. I'm very confident that the Cranberries, who stood for a liberatory, emancipatory political project that was anti-colonial, would fucking hate Matt Walsh. But yeah, and for those wondering why he didn't do all right, I know at least one thing that was going on there is that he did all right at another Super Bowl. So let's look. Let's go levels here. So we'll start with this NewJersey.com article that producer Henry pulled up. By the way, I'm Michael Burns. I'm here with producer Henry. This is Wisecrack's Case of the Monday. Stay tuned, because this is going to sound cryptic, but it's real. I have some announcements about some changes at the channel that you all are going to be some of the first people to hear, because I care about you and value you and never want you to feel lied to, bullshitted, or let down. So that's for me. Also, shout out to everyone who watched Friday's video. It's like trending to be our most watched video in a long ass time. It's a video about techno-feudalism, Elon Musk, things of that nature. I guess it struck a chord. I don't know if it's A minor, but if I had to guess, if Elon Musk, has downloaded some PDF files, he might have. Who knows? I don't think he seems like someone who would.
I thought you were going to ask if he watched the video or saw it.
Ooh, you know what I'll say? And this is going to sound maybe crazy. I wouldn't say it's out of play. Like, he's an internet obsessed person. That video got posted on his, yeah. Yeah, I think it's in play. Also, I just want to note that Ted Nugent, American rock and roll singer, he tweeted last night, "Hey Kendrick Lamar, you suck." Cool. And I saw someone repost some Ted Nugent lyrics, including lines like this. These are real Ted Nugent lyrics, by the way. "Well, I don't care if you're just 13. You look too good to be true. I just know that you're probably clean. There's one little thing I gotta do to you. Jailbait," this is the chorus, "you look so good to me. Jailbait, won't you set me free? Jailbait, you look fine, fine, fine. And I know I've got to have you in a matter of time." I can only assume that song is in the key of A minor. But it's just very funny that Kendrick has been trying to expose pedophiles, and then Ted Nugent, a famous rock and roll pedophile, decided to weigh in on matters. What a world that we live in. What a world.
Good one, Logan.
Yeah, that was very, very, very good. Also, getting close to 666. Good call. We're having fun. Oh, we are.
I saw 672, so we went past it.
666. Mark of the Beast.
Right as you were reciting Ted Nugent.
Satanic. Yeah, well, people did tweet that, like, they were, I think, was it Matt Gaetz? I'm sorry that I keep looking up takes from the worst people ever, but they keep saying the funniest stuff. Was it Matt Gaetz who said that it was satanic last night? Yeah. No, he said the halftime show you just watched is clearly the regime's response to Trump's historic gains with black men. But, he also said they lost because Travis Kelce took the vaccine. But you know what we saw last night was satanic performance, rap, the devil's music. We could have had good, you know, Jelly Roll could have performed. We could have had Jelly Roll, but instead we had Kendrick Lamar. Boo. I don't know, 666, cool stuff. Get some hats while you can. So this New Jersey article, it has some Easter eggs. So we're going to start with Easter eggs. We're then going to jump to some really good criticism of the performance by, I would say, my favorite, one of my favorite music writers, at least top three, and my favorite rap music writer, Craig Jenkins from Vulture/New York Magazine. So let's start with this. I'm going to scroll down to the part. Okay, so here's some Easter eggs. So he began his set with Tiramisu, an unreleased song, tease leading up to his GNX album drop. Yeah, there was a music video they put out before his most recent album came out, and they had this verse in the thing. And people were like, what is that? And he opened with that. Some are thinking, I don't know if this is confirmed yet, I haven't checked into this today, that there's like a deluxe version of the album coming out, and that's him teasing that's on the way. The division of the American flag symbolized the division of America. So there was dancers in red, white, and blue, the American flag. And they started off divided. At one point, they all danced together. I did have this thought, and this is me overthinking, so thank you for letting me overthink, that also, like, the red definitely represented the Crips, and blue definitely represented.
That's
red was Bloods and blue is Crips, because, yeah, it is pop-out performance. He did that. A big part of Kendrick's last year has been kind of promoting this idea of unification amongst rival factions and gangs. Here is my take, though. What if it was Bloods, Crips, and white stood for like KKK white supremacy and the tension between all those forces? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
I think you got a good read on it.
Yeah, I'm an idiot because I said all that before realizing the next thing was, yeah, Lamar's from Compton, dressed in blue, Bloods dressed in red. Yeah, so there you go. Then said, I want to perform their favorite song, but y'all know he likes to sue. So he teased Not Like Us a couple of times. For those of you who don't know, Drake is suing. And if you want to, if you look it up, the lawsuit, which is public record, has some very funny things in it. Samuel L. Jackson played Uncle Sam, which is fun because Uncle Sam's real and his name is Samuel L. Jackson. I saw someone point out that it sort of felt like a version of like a Spike Lee character from a film like Bamboozled or something like that. Represents patriotism and national identity. He said, welcome to the great American game. Not meaning football, but the U.S. government. How it expects Americans to behave silently and complicitly. 40 acres and a mule. It's bigger than the music, Lamar said. Yeah, so I think there's a sense in which they were riffing off the fact that it is America's biggest night, America's biggest game in the Super Bowl. But the game of America, you know, involves a sense of like respectability politics for people of color or people who are marginalized and fall out of, you know, the inner circle of whiteness or whatever. So they played into that. Oh, let's go check it out. Why ain't I seeing it? Dead Card gifting memberships, very kind of you. Also saying it's a bit twisted that conservative pundit is offended by an artist that spent the past year calling out someone's. You are right. It is weird. But there you go. Let's see. The dancers moved counterclockwise to signify a reversal in time when marginalized groups lacked protection from the law of the land. That might be an overreach. Okay, so this next one, I think they have it a little bit wrong. It said he wore an A for the A minor thing on his pendant, but I was reading about this morning. It's very clear that the A is the exact A from the logo of PG Lang, which is his label and creative agency he runs with Dave Free. So, you know, I think that one is, I think the A and A minor might be more of an incidental. He wore a jacket with Gloria. And yeah, that's, I think on the final song of GNX, he refers to Gloria as his pen, you know, because he writes raps, guys. Or he does lethargic mumbling. In the chat, let us know. And I'm curious if you have thoughts on this, Henry. What's up, Richard? Be good. What music do we think Matt Walsh listens to? And I mean this kind of genuinely. Like, you could be, if you want to be funny with your responses to this guy, it's like, feel free. But I'm genuinely curious, like, what we think he listens to. I feel like, you know, the obvious thing would be I guess like country music.
I was good,
But then
like
go ahead.
80s, like the kind of standard album oriented rock of like the late 70s and 80s for sure. uh that seems very much his sensibility as far as like just like when he's like talking about like being punk rock or rock and roll or like what he thinks is like cool. It kind of comes across in his
Yeah.
character. Yeah, kind of that classic kind of Gen X dad rock is what most comes to mind. And then
Yeah.
the kind of like new kind of reactionary wave of country music, just because it's like what you do on the internet as a right wing influencer, you bump those kind of guys.
Yeah. I mean, I could also imagine sort of like chuddy cop rock, like Three Doors Down type
Oh,
stuff.
definitely.
Like yeah,
There was
Nickelback type
a there
things.
was a tweet making the rounds of people just being amazed at the Disturbed cover of Sound of Silence still being at the top of like the digital sales chart. I think it's been there for
Wild.
like 2 years, but yeah, there is a whole world of cop rock listeners out there.
Yeah, someone brought up Kanye's commercial, which was crazy. People, okay, this is
Which
insane.
one was that?
I'll Kanye had a commercial that was him on his phone getting at the dentist, and it said go to Yeezy.com, and he was like, I spent all the money on this commercial and these teeth, so I got to do the iPhone, but he didn't say Nazi stuff on it.
Yeah, I must have
So
missed
someone
that.
said, these are insane, you guys. Matt Walsh listens to Cool Keith, Black Star, Michael Franti, and Old Spearhead. Okay, then CCR, Wagner, that's a deep cut.
CCR,
Counting
yeah.
Crows, maybe. Oh, Imagine Dragons is a good call. That's a really good call. Although Imagine Dragons did a song with Kendrick. Yacht Rock, Morgan Wallen makes a lot of sense. Ghostface, Dido, Nine Inch Nails, only the new stuff. Elton John, yeah, another CCR. We got Nickelback. Um, Midwest Princess doesn't think that Matt Walsh listens to music at all. I could see that. Him and Shapiro like jazz. They definitely don't like jazz unless it's like Kenny G jazz.
Yeah,
Huey Lewis and the
Shapiro definitely
News.
strikes me as like he listens to classical and just like old
Yeah.
stuff, old pop.
Um, we got another Imagine Dragons, and of course, Mike H. This is good. Rage Against the Machine, hands down, because all those dudes like Rage Against the Machine. Um, let's see. Kurt Kennedy said, "Here's something that bears consideration. Kendrick has Uncle Sam, played by Samuel L. Jackson, a man who was once so serious about direct action that he kidnapped MLK's dad. I didn't know that was a
Oh
thing.
yeah, as part of like a student protest or a student strike, I think they held his dad
Whoa.
hostage. His dad was like a professor, I believe.
Yeah. That's crazy. Also, I saw that Drake tweeted something last night. Okay. But whew, good calls. Good calls. I like these. So let's see. Were there any more on this? Okay. We said during his performance of the song Peekaboo, the telecast cut to a large X, what could mean a few things. Drake, Lamar's nemesis, dated. I didn't know he dated SZA and Serena Williams, who were scorned enough by Drake to literally dance on his grave. It's also the nickname for murdered Florida rapper XS. I always say his name wrong. XXX Tentacion, who warned fans that if he were to be killed, it was Drake. What? Lamar and SZA performed "All the Stars," also a Drake diss. Was "All the Stars" a Drake diss from the Black Panther soundtrack? I don't think that's true. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
look
know
that
Kendrick
up.
has the verse where he says "I don't even like you." I'm not sure if that's supposed to be directed at Drake there.
Yeah, let's see. Um, I don't think that's true. Was "All the Stars" a Drake diss? Yeah, I think that's pretty speculative. Um, but I think Kendrick is someone who's pretty intricate with his lyrics, so I think there's ways to sort of find things and convince yourself that they are uh, subliminal disses or whatever it might be. Okay, so there's our Easter eggs, and again, you're watching Wisecrack. Case of the Mondays XXX Tentacion is too much. Um, But again, I'm Michael Burns here with producer Henry. We're getting into Kendrick's Super Bowl performance, and I'll say something now before. Okay, FD Signifier thinks it is cool. He's smarter than me about the stuff. Um, we're gonna look at this article from Craig Jenkins on it, and before we get into this, I want to acknowledge this that it's sort of there's a tension sometimes with things like Kendrick performing at the Super Bowl, and I'll tell you what the tension is, at least as I see it, is that it's very easy to look at something like that and sort of say it's radical. Oh, someone said the XO squared triangle was a nod to Squid Games. I saw someone else say that it was about the PlayStation controller and the way that they're like playing a game.
Yeah, when
Uh,
I was watching it, I was like, is this brought to us by Sony? Is this PlayStation? And then, yeah, someone else in the room was mentioning the Squid Games. So I'm not sure what was up with all the symbols on the stage.
yeah. But I do think that it's easy to watch something like that and almost think to yourself like, oh my God, this is radical. Kind of the same way when Beyonce did the Super Bowl and she had dancers that were sort of wearing the outfits of like Black Panthers. And there's a way in which it's like, wow, this is subversive, this is radical, this is happening at an event where Trump is there and all of the right wingers are watching this and it's on Fox and oh my God. And I totally get that. And I feel that a lot of times. However, there's also an element in which when these things happen, they are still media spectacles, you know? And, Kendrick and SZA are about to go on a stadium tour. And this was a great promotional opportunity for them to do that. Do I think there is a high level of artistry, thoughtfulness, choreography, intentionality, and all of this? Yes. But I do think we sometimes have to be hesitant to ascribe the meaning that we want to ascribe to stuff. And I think this is especially true with Kendrick, who, for a lot of us, might have been extremely influenced by, extremely, what was I about to say? Inspired by Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly, an album that came out, right before a summer of mass protest oriented around police violence against black men, black people in general in America, where a song like All Right became a protest anthem for a lot of people that might have done some marching in like summer of 2016 or 2015. All Right is a song that people, or maybe 2014, 2015, 2014, we're chanting in the streets when they were marching against, this, at least in my experience in Baltimore, marching out in front of like legions of cops and stuff like that. So it's, that is the thing. At the same time, since then, he has largely shied away from direct interaction with the political, has more and more leaned into, especially recently, his like bad guy, murder rapper phase. By murder rapper, I mean like he murdered Drake with raps. And I think that a lot of people want to ascribe that, Saoirse or whoever in the chat said Kendrick did say he's not your savior. Yeah. So I think it's important that, especially for and again, I can say this word, some people can, for the whites among us, there can be a temptation, I think, to over ascribe a certain level of meaning that we want to believe is there that might not be there. And I think Craig Jenkins' piece really gets into this. So Jenkins wrote a piece in Vulture called
Hold
Kendrick
on.
Lamar. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Two things really quick. We're over
Yeah.
1,000, so dome.
Oh,
That means we also went over 888, which means secret. But
damn it.
we're doing numbers right now, Michael.
Oh man, I haven't cut my hair in forever. So get ready for some ugly ass dome. And then 888 secret. Let me think. Let me think of a secret. Okay, here's a good one, guys. When I was 15 and I was learning to drive, my mom let me drive the car to the mall. And I'll be really specific, the Oviedo Marketplace Mall in Oviedo, Florida. Superdome. Thanks, Logan, for that reference. And I was parking the car in a parking spot in the mall. And as I was getting into the spot, I wasn't quite there, so I hit the gas to move up, but I hit it way too hard. I went over the little barrier thing and basically landed the front of the car on another car. I freaked out. I backed up. I said, "Mom, what do I do?" And she just goes, "Drive away." And I'm gonna be honest, my mom's like, she was and still is a legit crazy person. She's like kind of cool, but she's a crazy person. So I like drive away. We park someplace else, and I'm like, "What do we do?" And she's like, "Let's just go to the mall." And like I feel like fucked up this car. And we go to the mall to do whatever we're doing. We go home and I go, "Mom, you got to tell Dad what happened." And she's like, "Oh, I don't want to." I'm like, "You got to tell Dad." And my mom tells my dad, and his face is just like, Jesus fucking Christ. You got our 15-year-old out here doing hit and runs and shit. So that's a secret. A lot of people don't know about that. So now you know. Let's keep going. Whoa. My number said we just went down from like 1,500 to 600. What did I do? Was that story
1500?
back
I
there?
didn't even see that. We're at 980 right
Yeah,
now.
story's over. Okay, so let's get back into, and thanks for being here. Like the stream if you can. Kendrick's the modern Gnostic mentor. He's not our savior. He shows us how to save ourselves spiritually, psychologically, and culturally. Yeah. So let's look at this Craig Jenkins piece called Kendrick Lamar is Not Your Savior. Again, Jenkins is one of the best writers. Also a great person to follow on social media. Jenkins writes that the Super Bowl halftime show ran for over 30 years before endeavoring to spotlight its first rap verse. And he goes through some examples here. I'll quickly, before we get cooking, drop the link to this into the chat a couple times if you guys want to check this out on your own time. Oviedo does do that to people. And I do want to say, I saw someone make this comment. Let me find it. Michael single-handedly making you feel okay about balding. It's totally okay. It's not really that big of a deal. I used to think it was a big deal, but it's not a big deal. But Jenkins notes that it was a long time before there was a rap verse at the Super Bowl halftime show. The Super Bowl halftime show has historically been pretty safe, pretty white, all the things of that nature. Now this started to change when Jay-Z and Rock Nation took over producing these halftime shows. But he notes, and this is in the bottom of this first paragraph, Jenkins says, but it cynically cashed the political collateral of Colin Kaepernick's protest movement out for advertising and representation chips, opening the door to empty liberal pandering, like spraying "End Racism" in the end zone during the big game, at least until that sentiment became radioactive. Worth noting that in recent Super Bowls in recent years, "End Racism" was in the end zone of the Super Bowl. And I'll post a link to an article that gets into this in the chat in case anyone wants to see it. But they removed it because supposedly America's political climate and kind of where we're heading as a culture means it's DEI to have "End Racism" in the Super Bowl. Of course, that Trump's was at the game. There was thoughts that maybe this had to do with him, but the point that Jenkins is making here is it was sort of like after the Kaepernick debacle that the NFL was like, oh, let's let Jay-Z do the halftime show and we'll put "End Racism" in the thing and then everything's all good. Well, they can't even have "End Racism." And like, what does that mean politically when "End Racism" is offensive? That's insane. Jenkins goes on to say, this year the Super Bowl booked Compton firebrand Kendrick Lamar, offering a former award show rabble-rouser an audience with President Trump in attendance. And he gets into this, but for those of you who haven't seen this, he did a BET performance where he played All Right, and he rapped it on top of a cop car that was like spray painted on fire, and the Fox News contingent lost their goddamn minds. They got very upset at this young man. Says, but there was no reason to expect the rapper who barreled into autumn with the brisk, icy GNX to revert back to the prickly messaging and radical iconography he favored a decade ago. And important to remember, it's been a decade since Kendrick had, his sort of more political record. Says that artist ignited the ire of Fox News host at the 2015 BET Awards. Because, I'm sure most Fox News hosts were just casually watching the BET Awards and saw that. I'm sure Brett Baer is a big BET Awards guy. I'm sure he watched Rap City back in the day. Performing to Pimp a Butterfly's All Right on top of a spray painted cop car. They later denounced their fear mongering. Kendrick denounced their fear mongering on DNA from 2017's Damn. It was a good song. 2022's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. A Kendrick album that, I'll be honest, I listened to a few times when it first came out and didn't listen to again. Signaled interest in leaving that incarnation of Lamar behind. The new one wasn't eager for an overtly political gesture under the president's nose. And, that's worth noting. War with Drake last spring didn't just burst the OVO boss's wise guy bubble. It was the final nail in the coffin of Kendrick's lawful good alignment. Not like us, his hashtag dark woke, an image of justice sketched out through negative contrast. Shout out yourself in the chat if you are dark woke. Halftime show history was made with the diss track, albeit neatly. And I think that the neatliness of all this is important. And of course, in reading something that critically engages with this, we're not saying it's bad. We're not saying that we should be, whatever. We're critically engaging with stuff, we're just critically engaging with stuff because that's what we do. Um, let's see. They still have the Rooney Rule for now. Blah, blah, blah. Just catch up with the chat. Good to see you all here. After this, this is real. I'm going to let you guys in to some very big news about the channel and our corporate entity and a lot of other stuff. I mean, dead serious. We'll read this article. I'm going to let you guys know because I want to let you know about that because it's important and some stuff is changing and it's not all great. So narration from Samuel L. Jackson introduced a nervous Uncle Sam, molded after character from Bulworth or Bamboozled, struggling to talk the rapper out of an imminent moment of crassness. He warned against the show getting too ghetto. The actor's appearances leaned into the dark satire, peppering 2015's Butterfly, but the set list cut towards the last 7 years. And yeah, worth noting that he only played recent songs. We talked about this before, but there definitely weren't hits. And if anything, like half the songs were non-album cuts and things that I would say most people have not heard. So I guess shout out to Matt Walsh. I guess he's not wrong in so much as a few of the things Kendrick did were not mainstream hits. Ooh, let me get to it in 2 seconds. Okay. Kendrick didn't save America. He merely enforced the status quo to placate people. He gave off the appearance that something may change, but it won't. Yeah, it's kind of what the article is into. What's up, Chris Maverick? Good to see you. Let's see. So, yeah, it looked like he was more interested in the aesthetics of the cover art than the acrimonious complaints of songs like The Black or the Berry. Flanked by dancers in red, white, and blue, he teased an air of Americana from the optics of street life, marrying the stars and stripes forever to we're all in the same gang. The gentle reminder, the gang culture is just as American as the flag, wasn't loud enough to rattle anyone in attendance, demolishing legislation and programs crafted with the betterment of these communities in mind. So yeah, I think it's a sense in which, like Jenkins is pointing out here, you can do things that symbolically point to stuff that some of us understand, but that's not necessarily. Just gonna get my Flonase on deck, guys.
It's reference culture.
Yeah. The stream is brought to you by store brand Flonase. But yeah, it's referencing stuff and it allows us to do the thing. And I felt this very viscerally last night when watching it. It feels good to know the thing, to understand the reference, to look at your friends and say, that's what he's doing here, to tell your mother-in-law and your mother. I watched the Super Bowl with both my mother-in-law and my mother.
Yeah, you're still demonstrating that you're like a good cultural student of America.
Yeah,
Americana.
And it feels good. It feels good to do that. And I'll say this too, like it's a tough one, and I completely understand. I see some of the good-natured debate in the chat. Please keep it good-natured, or I will destroy you, like how Kendrick destroyed Drake. But there's some tension here, and I think we can acknowledge that tension. It says no one has put up much of a fuss with the halftime since 2017 when Lady Gaga sang Born This Way and This Land Is Your Land during the first Trump administration. Simply more closely attuned to mass taste and better equipped to slide a more adult feeling set past censors. Yada, yada, yada. And it does note that a dancer was detained for sneaking a flag in support of Gaza and Sudan onto the field was the lone acknowledgement of chaos in the world beyond the show. Yeah. That's just the thing too. Like, we can get excited about symbolic gestures, and I am not saying that symbolic gestures are meaningless. Often symbolic gestures can be a pathway to things that are more meaningful. But, there's some real stuff happening in the world right now. The primary message this year's halftime show communicated is that Kendrick Lamar had a banner year, and you should stream his latest stuff and catch him on tour with SZA in a stadium near you. I'm going to read this again. Craig Jenkins' words, not mine. Although I think he's right. The primary message this year's halftime show communicated is that Kendrick Lamar had a banner year, but Drake didn't, and you should stream his latest stuff and catch him on tour with SZA in a stadium near you. It was Super Bowl business as usual, well-planned branding synergy, meeting the celebration of musical virtuosity. Put an exclamation point on the squabble with Drake, taking the A minor, but not the certified pedophiles line, all the way to music's biggest stage with the crip-walking Serena Williams and Obbs is Aubrey Graham, a.k.a. Drake, whose husband, Alexis Ohanian, was dissed on the Family Matter rappers Her Loss in 2022. I don't know what mellifluous means. He's a Pulitzer Prize winning writer, so I'm literally right now, guys. I'm just gonna Google that word so I know what it means. Some of you definitely know what it means because some of you are definitely smarter than me. Sweet or musical, pleasant to hear. Okay. The mellifluous accompaniment from SZA dovetailed with the reissue of her reissue album. Kendrick and SZA came to mine gold from last spring's rift, not to rock anyone's boat. Last paragraph of this. While it's nice to have Kendrick Lamar back outside more often, as Drake noted in the Hard Part 6, at least your fans are getting some raps out of you. The sense that this was won by turning the old fire down a few degrees itches as much as getting the GNX clunker Peekaboo. This is debatable because he calls Peekaboo a clunker. I know some people like that song a lot, but no Black Hippie or songs from the front half of the catalog. Kendrick probably skipped All Right last night because he played it at Super Bowl LV1. Is that 16? Or did she? 54? I don't know. I'm an idiot. Guys, I'm an idiot. But that song in its Spirit
I
of Joy.
think it's 56. It's something 6.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, because 50. Oh, yeah, because if the I came before. Never mind. I'm not going to do this now. But that song in its
If it was
Spirit
before the
of
L, you'd
Joy,
subtract it.
yeah, Snatch Out of the Jaws of Doom sure would have hit the spot. Because, yeah, especially with Trump in attendance, All Right would have had a certain political intensity that this, of course, did not have. The early 2010s blog era fans sitting off the realization of the loftiest dreams anyone had for the guy. The terrified 2025 observer pines for the version whose politics were neither palatable nor predictable. I'm going to read that again. Pines for the version whose politics were neither palatable nor predictable. I will quickly post this link in the chat again if you guys want to check it out. And you know what I'll do now while I have it open? I will put that link in the description for this. So if you check the stream out later, you can see it then because I like it when you read. I think it's good for you, you know?
I have a question for you regarding the conclusion to that. Do you think a thornier, if a thornier or more abrasive Kendrick performance went down, would it have been something that moved the needle in a way this didn't? Or do you think maybe the position's just, regardless of who's at the podium, it's still you're at the podium performing? Like, I don't know if a more radical Kendrick would have really done anything different as far as like efficacy of a message goes.
Yeah, I will say Jared Bronshead was literally a college professor, can't read Roman numerals. I wasn't a Roman numerals professor. But yeah, I've never not acknowledged this. I'm a dumb smart guy. Wait, or am I dumb smart guy or smart dumb guy? I don't even know the difference. Yeah, I left academia because I was an idiot. Let's see. Ian Musk said, white people's opinion on Kendrick. I will say, Ian, and like that's totally fair. That's why we just read an article by a black writer to take very seriously our own subject and identity positions in this. So, that might not be enough for you. That might not be enough for you, Ian. But I will say that is something, Someone said reminder to chat, clip your nails. Oh my God, I need to clip my nails so bad today and I can't stop thinking about it. So I'm going to have to, I think I have nail clippers behind me. I'm not going to clip them on chat because for some people that would be a weird kink and I'm not here to get you off. But I think to Henry's point, although, for me, Henry's a Kendrick type figure. I'll link the article one more time. It's also in the description. Let's see. But yeah, I don't think there's anything that Kendrick could have done that would have radically moved the needle, right? Because like, what do we want in our head, right? We want him to like, the lights go down. He turns to the front. He says, "Yeah, Donald, I'm talking to you," or something. You know what I mean? Like, my name.
He points at Donald Trump. He's like, "Everybody get that guy." And then there's a radical communist revolution at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is a diss track about you, Donald. There's some of us who are like, yeah, he did that. That's not going to happen. And I think there's a level at which to enter, and this is a tension that people have with Kendrick. For people like rap music, No Name. You probably know who No Name is. Let's see, I'm going to find the exact lyric here so I don't get it wrong, because I know whenever I talk about rap music, people are like, you cracker ass bitch, which is fine, So let's see where this is. Yeah, so this is from the No Name song, Namesake. It's a song in which she says, I mean, I'll give you a few um for a few lyrics from the song. She says, all that eat the rich tax the rich, y'all ain't really about that shit. She goes on to say, I ain't fucking with the NFL or Jay-Z propaganda for the military complex. Out west with the same gun that shot some Samir in the West Bank. We all think the Super Bowl is the best thing. Says, go Rihanna, go. Watch the fighter jet fly high. War Machine gets glamorized. We play the game to pass the time. She says, go Kendrick, go. Watch the fighter jet fly high. War Machine gets glamorized. We play the game to pass the time. But then, of course, she then says, go No Name, go. Coachella stage gets sanitized. So No Name acknowledges. And I'll post the link to the Genius website with the lyrics for the song. Also, you should listen to it because No Name is one of the best rap artists making stuff right now. But, there's people who have made this point, and I think No Name makes this point in that song, right? Eddie, not yet. Whenever that happens, I'll probably have to end it all. The stream. But a thing that No Name is noting in a song like that is that in many ways, even mainstream artists who point at subversive themes are still doing it while participating in the systems, to be hyperbolic here, of empire. And in that song in particular, No Name is noting that there is a direct overlap between the spectacle and pageantry of the Super Bowl and the American military-industrial complex. Something that non-Americans might not know is that there is a huge overlap between American sports and the military. I love baseball, but my least favorite part of baseball games, and this isn't like a diss on the individuals, it's a structural thing, just to be clear. It's weird to me that every baseball game, you have to stand up and take your hat off and cheer for soldiers. Or even just cheer for the military. I'm not saying that if you're a veteran, if you rock with the military, that's cool. I just don't think it's something I should have to do to go to a baseball game. Even the same way, the No Name song I was referencing, guys, is called Namesake. Namesake is the No Name song. We'd play it on stream, but then we get demonetized and taken down. So Namesake again is the No Name song. But there's this overlap between those things. And when you watch the Super Bowl, there's going to be fighter jets, there's going to be various soldiers, police officers. There's a way in which the military complex, the police state, all of these things directly overlap with the game, with the spectacle. And No Name, and she does it in a way that's also sort of self-incriminating, points out that there is an inherent tension and hypocrisy with artists who claim to or let us view them as using these platforms as mechanisms of critique of the state, doing so under the guise of things like the Super Bowl that are glamorizing the market, glamorizing the state, glamorizing the military. And if anything, at a maybe less overtly insidious, but more internally insidious level, are just existing for advertising. People watch the Super Bowl to watch the commercials. The thing exists so that we can get excited to watch poorly made advertisements with depressed celebrities who can't make enough money doing movies anymore. So we have to watch them talk about how cars will heal America or something,
My favorite was the Harrison Ford commercial where I'm not sure if he was selling Jeeps or telling me to join the army, but it goes on. It's one of the longer commercials too. We looked it up afterwards. It's 2 minutes long. So it's not a 30-second. It's not a 60-second. It feels 5 years long where he's just kind of rambling about he's not a real hero. The troops are, but then you need to buy a Jeep because sometimes life asks you if you're going to charge cash or credit. And that's just what freedom means. It's the sundowning psyche of a consumer brain that doesn't know what to buy anymore, but the purchase has to be valorful.
I got to jump in the chat here. Bobby said, what has No Name done for the community? I'll wait. Bobby, I'm going to send you a link right now. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, and I'm truly not trying to own you on this, bud, because I think you're asking a fair question. No Name Book Club. I'm going to send you a link to it. You should look it up. No Name has done so much. She has bookstores, book clubs. She started a radical hood library that she funds. She sends books and organizes reading groups in prison so that incarcerated people have access to all types of books. I just got to say, for the level of artist she is, she's done a lot. My browser's freezing, so when it unfreezes, I'll send you the link to No Name's book club. Um, well, but yeah, I'll simply say that she has done quite a lot. So yeah, I see someone else in the chat says as well, and actually, No Name recently, um, you know, just posted publicly about how she hasn't been able to get the funding to keep the book club open and raised a bunch of money to keep it going. So yeah, I just think like yeah, people in the chat are got there before I even could. But an artist at that level spending time, money, and resources to make sure that incarcerated individuals have access to books and mechanisms of learning, it's pretty big, pretty big. Um, Hell yeah, Bobby, and thanks for that, for just being like cool with that, Bobby, and not trying to own you at all. I really appreciate you being here. And a lot of the stuff goes sort of unrecognized. So, I think that's sort of not to try to put a bow on anything, but I think looking back at the Super Bowl performance from a cultural level, it was a beautiful performance. It just was. Aesthetically, it was awesome. It was shot really cool. The set list was awesome. The way they transitioned between songs was great. The fact that he looked in the camera like an absolute psychopath and said, "Hey, Drake," is insane. Like, he's a crazy person for that. And as a rap fan, I think that's amazing. And it was really cool. And it's good to see a rap artist at that level, one of the best, mainstream artists currently existing over the past 20 years, to be performing on that stage is very, very cool and musically good. However, I do think we need to sometimes be willing to detach the aesthetic references. And Jelly Spready, I am bald. But I think we have to be able to detach that from some of the political stuff. And shout out to Saba too, Kimmy and Young. Yeah, Saba is so good. I think Saba is really underrated. What was the Saba album that had? Oh my God, this is gonna kill me. Now it was. I'm gonna look this up because I can't not. It was the one that had Billy Williams on it. It wasn't. Bucket List Project, I think. And Care for Me was so good too. I'll say Saba is a very good rapper, kind of from the same scene that No Name came out of. But sorry, great stuff happening in the chat. People helping people. I like Bobby a lot. Bobby, I don't know if I've seen you in chat before. I like you. This is a good attitude. We're talking. We're engaging. I just think it's very cool. So I don't know. That's the take on it. A couple of things. Billy D. Williams. Oh, not Billy D. Williams. Billy Williams is reference to a Chicago Cubs player. Yeah, someone said bucket list. Just a reminder, we have coffee homies. They're called Yes Please. They're LA people like Kendrick. They make really good coffee. It's as simple as this. We don't get paid to talk about this coffee. They're just my favorite coffee. We get a tiny little kickback if you use our code. The code is Wisecrack, and you get that. So there you go. Someone said Kendrick is their dad. That's awesome. Your dad is very talented. My dad was way less cool than Kendrick. So here's some news, guys. This is kind of big and it's kind of sad. I'm gonna lay this out with you pretty honestly. Got the news last week that the company that owns Wisecrack, Enthusiast Gaming, is basically cutting all of our funding for all freelance employees. And for example, producer Henry, the big homie, is, I just gotta be honest with everyone here. Henry is a freelance person with us. The guys that host Show Me the Meaning and help produce that are freelance employees. A lot of our editors are freelance employees. Some of our awesome writers, people you like John Duncan and Neil, Neil from Leftist Cooks have been writing for us. These are freelance people. It takes a lot to do all the stuff that we do and to do it at the level that we do it. The parent company has decided, and this is for us and for all the content wings of our thing, they're only going to keep the salaries alive for full-time employees. We're going to have to spend 15 to 20% of our time producing SEO-related content for video game websites like Icy Veins and U.GG. I don't even know what this stuff is, guys. I'm a bald 40-year-old, and they're expecting me to do this stuff. And we have our budget now through March. So, people like Henry, we're going to make sure he gets paid as much as he can between now and then. All of our other freelancers we like. But starting at the end of March, we're only going to have 4 people, not even full-time, to do everything. That might not sound like a lot, but, researching and writing videos and directing and editing and doing all the other graphics and everything is a lot of work. So, Bobby, thank you so much for checking out the stream, buddy. I really appreciate that. Thank you for rocking with us for so long. This isn't a bit, guys. So here's what's going to happen. There's talks of, maybe we'll be able to find a buyer for Wisecrack. Well, maybe someone else wants us. Maybe the channel is going to sundown a bit. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I know that starting in April, we're going to have to wind back some of our production. So it's probably going to go from like, we do 4 videos a month now, probably going to be 2, maybe 3 stream wise. Well, I'll tell you this, Wisecrack 2, we're gonna stop producing videos for that channel. We're gonna stop doing Show Me the Meaning. For these streams, I don't know what's gonna happen. But here's what I will tell you, and I hope this doesn't sound like overly self-promotional here. I love this community and what we built here. So I'm gonna keep streaming no matter what over on my personal channel. And I can talk to Henry about this later, and I shouldn't bring this up publicly on here. But I want to try to create a situation where I could hopefully have enough money that I make off that to give Henry money to be there, so we can keep some of this going. Not a lot,
Yeah,
buddy. Don't get ahead of yourself.
I would like to keep hanging out with you too and this chat, and I don't know, because right now I'm also gonna have to start figuring out like what am I doing next.
Yeah. So I'm starting to make a little money on my personal channel. I have a personal Patreon as well, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not making crazy money, but I've done some videos on my personal channel that I was going to tell you numbers. I made $300 via YouTube AdSense for one video and
Nice.
$200 for another. So guys, if it's enough money where I can justify doing it and then throw Henry like some measly but not nothing rate to come hang out on stream, then we're going to do that. I will say this, and this is me being brutally honest here. If your response to this is, if we join the Wisecrack Patreon, it'll save it. It's not. They don't care. I'm just being honest with you. If you're already a member, it is cool and it does help us. And I'm actually going to post a video for the patrons maybe later today, but there's no way to save the thing now. And by that, I mean the company that owns us doesn't really want us. So we're either going to go somewhere else in some limited capacity, and I'm working on some stuff. I really am. I'm trying.
Guys.
Yeah. But no, and I'll just say this, like, I like doing this, so I'm going to keep doing stuff. And sort of what my goal is on, and I've been resisting doing this, but here I'm going to share a link right now. Fuck it. We ball. I for sure, wait, when is that video from? I want to keep making videos and streaming in this way. I'm going to keep doing it, whether my dad will let me or not. I'm just kidding. He's dead. But I, have my own thing going on, and just subscribe, and I'll make sure that if these streams stop, and they're going to slow down, like our best case scenario is maybe we can justify a stream a week. Our worst case scenario is these streams are going to stop. I'm going to keep doing them, ideally at the same times, over in my own little world. And oh yeah, someone said we know Michael is just addicted to the money. That's why I do this, guys. If you want to be a billionaire like me, if you want to get to do streams from your living room / dining room because you can't afford a house that has its own office space, if you want all of that and more, start YouTube. And people have a bunch of stuff here like unionize. We can't really do that. Someone said Nebula sucks. I want to hear more about this because someone brought up Nebula to me, and I reached out to some people there. And some people actually told me that Nebula does suck. But the problem with Nebula, I think, as well, is they wouldn't buy us out. You know what I mean? Like Nebula does like the thing where, you join their network and you get a little kickback. The problem is that Nebula is not going to buy us from Enthusiast Gaming, the company that owns us. You know what I'm saying? So maybe there's a way that'll happen. But yeah, let's see. But I think for now, like, don't not support our channel because, and like I said, like, don't join the Wisecrack Patreon thinking that's going to save it, because it's not. If you still participate, that's awesome and it does help us, but I don't want you to like go crazy here. The best thing you guys can do right now, I want to figure out how to stream on YouTube and Twitch, guys. I just have to figure that out on my end. If you're smart about that, email me at wisecracklive666 at gmail.com. Yeah, I heard the second thought stuff too. But yeah, Mav, I see what you're saying there.
Ooh, I need to look more into the second thought stuff, I guess. I haven't heard too much on Nebula criticism.
Yeah. And guys, I don't think Dropout has their own thing. I don't think they want us. They do their own thing. If anyone has ideas, please do wisecracklive666 at gmail.com. I would love to hear it if you have ideas or creative options. But the best thing you could do for now is keep watching the videos and the streams, because I'll tell you why. If the channel is doing well, it creates better conditions for someone to be like, fuck it, let's save them. If the channel is struggling, no one's going to want to save us. So it's great that recent videos are doing well um, on the main channel, because that helps us, right? That helps us look good. That helps us potentially continue to grow. So, keep doing that. And I'll just say, like, if it all falls apart, I'm gonna let you know where, yeah, Dropout, Smosh, Mythical, maybe Mythical, I don't know. But Cool Zone Media, I thought about. I can't find a contact there, and I think it's podcast only. But I'm gonna make sure, like, you're gonna know what everyone's doing. So I'll let you know where I'm going. I'll let you know what Amanda and Olivia and Lux are doing, how you can support us. And I know if the channel, if Wisecrack does DIE because of DEI, no, I'm kidding. If it does DIE, I'm going to keep doing my own thing and try to build out that channel. And I want to, as much as possible, bring everyone along with me financially. That definitely would look more like me just, paying people like Henry to help out and having some freelance stuff. I'm not trying to staff up because I wouldn't be making that much money, but I'm going to try. So, and I just want to let you guys know this. It's probably illegal that I'm sharing all this. I probably shouldn't, but I don't care, because, okay, maybe I will try to get in touch with Cool Zone then. Yeah, I'm sharing this because I care about this community, and I want you to know that stuff is going to change, but it's still going to happen to some extent. And in terms of the streams, here's all I will say is, like, the streams will continue. They might just not continue here. They might continue over on my personal channel, but they'll be the same, because the streams are kind of like the part of Wisecrack where I just get to do just me stuff. So it'll be like that, except I can be a little more, it'll be a little spicier. My stuff's a little spicier. So that is the news for now. If anyone, and this is genuine, if anyone has thoughts on what we could do or potential plans, or if you have contacts at some of these media companies that are coming up here, you can hit us up at wisecracklive666 at gmail.com. Or if you're industrious, you can just find my email. I know that it's findable. Listen, Hassan Sugar Daddy Arc, if he wants to, he could, but I don't think he would. So that's that. Sorry to drop that on you, but thanks for hanging out today with all of this. Hey, CJ started through the personal channel, so that's amazing. I'll where I had that. I'll share this link one more time. Sub over on the personal channel and set it up to where you get alerts for streams, and then you'll know when those happen, and we'll make it work. Someone said, "Gasp your hair or lack thereof." Oh no, my OnlyFans is going to be sick. Just me over and over in every video saying that never happens. That never normally happens. See you guys next time. Appreciate you guys. I hope we can keep it going. And I do think this is going to be a little bit earnest, but seeing how the recent videos have done, I'm like, okay, people care about, like, deconstructing things like techno-feudalism and the plans that Musk and co want for us. People care about the fact that there's, like, right-wing institutions that are trying to infiltrate things like philosophy and political theory in ways. And I think that is important. So I want to keep that going. I'm going to keep something going regardless. And my main thing is, if Wisecrack has to DIE, I want to make sure it does it gracefully. We'll have some off ramps for stuff like that. So thank you so much in general, just for being you. Thanks for hanging out for this stream. And if you guys are curious about the Kendrick thing, by the way, you can go watch the whole thing. It's on, like, YouTube and stuff. If you want to watch Kendrick performance, the number one thing I'd say to read about it, which is linked in the description, is Craig Jenkins' piece in Vulture, which I think gets at some really good stuff. Wednesday, we're going to be joined by Jared Henderson. I think some of you probably know his channel. So Jared Henderson's going to come talk to us. We're going to talk about loneliness, philosophy, some other stuff. It's also a great channel. If you like this channel, it's almost like when I watch his channel, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm watching like me if I was smarter, had better hair, and less mental illness. And I mean that as a compliment to him. So thanks again to producer Henry for holding it down. Thank you to all of you. Hit us up at wisecracklive666@gmail.com. Be good to each other and yourselves, and we'll see you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday, y'all.